Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pop Cult X Little Talks. It's our conversation series where we chat with a wide variety of creative-minded people. Today, we're thrilled to be joined by Jason Avalos, who's a creator, writer, director, actor, award-winning director, award-winning producer who creates comedy, dramedies, in a wide variety of genres that all are about inclusivity in film, television, and digital media. So, Jason, thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's really cool. I know we've met through Life, or Somos Life,
Mhm.
Latinos in Film and
Yeah,
Entertainment,
yeah.
and it's really cool to have you on here to chat more about you, really, because when they first introduced you to the team, I was like, oh wow, this guy's really cool. He started up his own production company called Schoolhouse
Yeah.
Pictures, and it was just the work you're doing there. It just really fascinated me. It was really, it drew me in. It like, I want to learn more. I want to know more. I want to see how I can help with that as well. But enough
Yeah.
about me talking about it. I want to hear you. Give us your little origin story, if you will, about yourself before we get to Schoolhouse Pictures, of what drew you into the creative world of film and entertainment.
Thank you, by the way, for all that that lovely intro and what you've said. You look like you took some time and really looked at it, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I actually my origins. It's funny because they are now bringing me back into things that I had put away for a long time.
Oh,
But originally, I wanted to be a horror movie makeup artist, and me and my
oh,
best
cool.
friend, yeah, we got his mother. This is I'm going to take you way back, but his mother owned a moving company, and sometimes people would leave. They couldn't afford to, pay their moving
Hmm.
storage fees. So
Okay.
there would be boxes and boxes in this warehouse that people had left over the years. And me and my buddy were like, all of like 8, and we would like run around in this, like making our own little laboratory. And we found these boxes of horror movies, VHS horror
Uh-huh.
movies. So it's
Okay.
like real sweet.
Yeah.
And we'd look on the back and they'd just be like really strange and exciting. Cronenberg and The Fly and Texas Chainsaw. And, I mean, we were just absolutely thrilled to try to get scared and see how
Mhm.
brave we could get. So we quickly became some serious horror movie addicts.
Nice.
Freddy Krueger was our Superman. We did not care about superheroes as much. Like the horror villains and the slashers were like
Hmm.
our heroes because they were like just ruthless, and they were fun. And at that time they were very funny,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
like just thought that sense of humor was so like naughty, We're like, oh my god, this is like so taboo. So I would buy the Fangora magazines, which is the horror movie,
Hmm.
still around today. Actually, my friend Tara now runs that magazine.
Oh,
But
wow. Okay.
we used to buy those religiously, and the first thing I'd do is look, how did they do that body cat thing? How
Yeah.
did they get that rotting body or that face thing? And I'd like look it up, and I try to really like figure out. Oh, and I thought that's what I wanted to do was like create monsters and then do the makeup. And then
Hmm.
I love the creating of a character. I love creating, yeah, like monsters and creatures, and then later that went to like Dungeons and Dragons and that nerdy stuff. So like I love creating characters.
Okay.
That's actually really, and that's still today what I'm doing, really. And I'm just now kind of getting started actually creating my own characters that will hopefully live on and take a life of their own. So that's what got me started. And then later on, I went, kind of grew up, quote unquote, and I became an actor in high school. And that was the main thing. And then I went to theater and studied in college and got a degree, became a real theater nerd. And that was kind of my identity for a long time. I learned to direct others during that time. as you become a senior in those colleges, you in those programs, you take a leadership role when the freshmen come up, and you help them with their scenes. You direct some of them on one-on-one scenes. You help build sets, build plays. So I started just learning every single department there, because actually that's how you get on stage, was you had to do other people's jobs, right?
Yep.
And that was the best. I feel like that is another important time in my life, because I kept that way of thinking when I went on film sets, and I have done every single job on a film set. Mm-hmm. If you look at my IMDb, there's like one go about everything, like I just like failed on some of them, got fired on some of them, so
but you tried.
But I tried. And also as a director, it's awesome because now I treat my crew with like a crazy amount of respect. And when I push them like I push myself, and I don't, and that's become a very big asset to me, is also just how to navigate a crew, how to give them the respect and the time, and try to communicate to them, is an incredibly invaluable tool that I hope like more directors really take on and try other jobs, really learn other people's jobs. And I think you'll get more respect from your crew, which is also like a sweet tip,
Well, yeah,
that's my long. Sorry, it's like a long answer, but that's kind of like, those are the main bookmarks.
Right. That's what led you up to where you're at today, which is really cool.
Yep.
So with Schoolhouse Pictures, I saw that one of the things that you really wanted to focus on was putting women in positions of leadership there, I guess. And in one of your projects you had, I guess you said like 95% was female led, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So how did that come to be for you, that you decided, you know what, I'm going to create this production house, so to speak, where I'm going to connect people with more of the people of color influencers and get them connected? How did that come to be? What drove that for you?
Well, I actually had the company for some time, and I hadn't really, if you notice, there's a lot of people who have like production companies, and like, so it was one of those, right?
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. That was like my backyard productions type of thing. Yeah.
Backyard boogie, and we all kind of, and so that was like first level. And, then we mostly were like renting out really high-end film cameras. I had bought a film camera, like a red camera, and we had some gear. So we were like renting out stuff, and then with that money, we'd make little productions on the weekends. So that kind of was and then my that camera got stolen.
Oh no!
Very interesting story, but that got stolen. I actually took a year off of Schoolhouse because I was like, I don't even know how to make this. That was like the moneymaker. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't have a way to film stuff. I was pretty down in the dumps. I kind of went back to work with my bill-paying job, which was script supervising.
Okay.
And through that, I made a lot of connections, a lot of very smart, BIPOC, crew members, filmmakers, a lot of women who were not, really being in the positions that they should be in, even though they had the experience,
right?
Or they had the know-how, and so those, I accumulated those over, about 8 years, over 65 movies. I created some family in all those.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right. And then I got this, and this is kind of crazy, but I just frankly lived my life up until the first part of my career where I didn't even completely realize that I wasn't like the people I worked for. I wasn't white. I wasn't privileged. I didn't have access. I wasn't given access, and that's and a lot of times was blocked to access. I was so hopeful. You have to be so hopeful as a filmmaker, almost naively so. And I was like, and once I really kind of sat back and go, wow, I hate to say this, but I think it's because I'm brown. It's just hard to wrap your mind around that I can handle what I can handle. And that really hurt me, sent me to therapy, and also, sent me into a fueled rage, which a lot of Latinos and Black people and Asians can understand, and women and queer. We can all understand, like, there's that anger you need at the beginning, right? At the beginning, you're fueled by that. And then later, you get a little success. You kind of start to hopefully build in some other components, but that anger gets you through those first hungry years. I used that and said, well, I can do what these guys can do, and I can do it for less. Like we joke around about like the Latino rates or Latino favors, and and it's a real thing. And I was like, I bet my white constituents would enjoy the benefits of my Latin rebates, And so that was kind of a little carrot that I started to dangle with financiers and investors, people who were interested in diversifying their portfolios of their films. And then the people who were the hungriest were obviously BIPOC creators and women, and a lot of women that, I have a lot of female friends. I grew up with a single mom. I speak like big boss female energy. That's like, that's how I grew up. So it's not like, it wasn't like I'm pandering to women.
Right. I got you.
It was like, that's what I saw around me growing up, strong women. So I was like, they actually made me feel more comfortable, more safe. I was also doing the show you're talking about, Largo. That show, I'm in that show. I play the lead, and I was pretty scared to be the lead of a thing. And it's also not a macho role, which it's still now. I'm finishing editing the trailer now, and but it's a very vulnerable role. There's a lot of personal stuff in there for me, and I think I think my understanding was these women are gonna be my protectors, and they're gonna like look out for me. I'm gonna be able to completely not think about any of the weird stuff of being this vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I owe it to myself to create the safest space possible for me and for everybody else. So that was really the initial way that I decided, I think I do this with pretty much all women. And so that's kind of how that started. It wasn't exactly like plan. It was each production calls for different things, right? If you're doing an action movie, you want to get the best martial art or safe, and safety guys. You want, you gotta. So if you're doing a comedy, get funny people. Get the funniest people. Don't get the most popular. Definitely don't get the most beautiful influencer. Like, get the funny people, right? If you're gonna be vulnerable and talk about gender, sexuality, freedom, honestly, surround yourself with women, and you'll be in a safe space. So that was what this show called for. Those were the people who showed up for me and said, nice. I see what you're doing. Yeah, they're the ones who said, I will go to bat for you for, next to nothing. And they were some ride or dies. So I'm very appreciative, actually, of everybody who busted their ass on that show. Yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, I grew up in acting background as well, from high school and theater, and I hadn't pursued it since then, really. But just that safe space to be able to commit to that vulnerability, I can understand why you would want to create that. I mean, I know just myself doing small auditions, I always feel like I'm holding back. Right. Because there's always that bit of me that doesn't want to just fully commit because I'm afraid of how I'll be seen or judged. So to create that spaces.
It's the last thing you want on set too. And then if you're directing, you're writing it, you're partly paying for it yourself, and then you're acting in it. It can go bad, right? We've seen vanity movies where you're like, oh my God, this is like so self-indulgent. And there's that part, there's that fear. So there was like so many fears that I was like, how can I start to protect myself, protect the work? What's that look like? We did get a intimacy coordinator for sex scenes.
Right.
I hadn't used an intimacy coordinator before. I have a friend, Sarah Ann Massey, who runs a organization called Higher Survivors Hollywood, and they are champions for women and men who have been sexually, abused during and or blacklisted during the Weinstein of it all and all this Me Too movement, right? And so she runs a way to help some of these people get work, get seen, get audition. Yeah, so I reached out to her, and we did hire some people from that space, and that was very cool. And then she also helped us navigate getting an intimacy coordinator, where it's an expensive job to get that person. And currently not a lot of Latino projects kind of worry about that, because we're in such a beginning stage, the Latino productions of it all, that our ecosystems are still evolving, like the way we run them, right? We're just happy to like get one in the can, right? And that's where we're at. But I do believe that you can make a production, you can make it eco-friendly, you can make it a safe space. It doesn't have to break the bank, and it's not going to cost you more. It may take a little longer, but it will create this ecosystem that is like sustainable. Like now I can, and we did it for very inexpensive, and people also were like learning on the job and stuff. So that was another huge thing that I wanted to do with that show was like, okay, we go 95% women. We have an intimacy coordinator, and we did it, with not a lot of money. And that was like a thing I said, okay, that's what Schoolhouse can be. We can we can say, you don't need a bunch of money to go and do shit the right way.
Right.
And let me prove it to myself before I start talking about it to people. Let me actually see if I can actually do the damn thing. And I proved that it can be done. And now all of our productions from here on in will build on that. And so it's very encouraging, and something I do want to share with Latino filmmakers that don't think you can't run a set exactly how you want it run. And don't let like money get in the way of creating a safe set.
Yeah. And I applaud you for championing that, because most people will be like, okay, we can cut corners or whatnot just to save a few dollars. But you're showing that it can be done the correct way, and get everything that you want out of it. So that's really cool. Really, really cool. So one of the major reasons I invited you on to our show today is because I saw that you are working on a new project, a new hat for you, so to speak. You have a new graphic novel that you're working on, and you're currently crowdfunding when we're recording this. You're currently crowdfunding for it, and it's called Thru the Rinse. And I think it's fascinating. Yeah, I grabbed a picture, so I have to put it up there. Yeah, that was really cool. So tell us about this project. What can you divulge without giving too much away? What can you tell us how it's actually? Yeah, tell us first about that. Then I want to know how you got it started to begin with. What drew you to it?
Well, I will say the strike happened is one thing. The strike.
Okay.
The strike. I mean, if we didn't need more shit after the pandemic.
Right. Exactly.
Pandemic and the access that we don't get, like
let's have a strike in there.
Yeah, let's throw a strike into this. And the company was like, I was beat. I mean, I was just like, I'm fucking done. Pardon my French, but I'm fucking done, dog. Like, I don't actually have any tricks up my sleeve.
Right.
Dog got me beat, and I'm just gonna sit this play out. And then a couple of different things happened. I had met a couple illustrators that I had always had. I have a little bit of background in animation. I worked for a pretty big animation studio writer for a while. And I've written some stuff in animation. I've always wanted to get into graphic novels. And then there was a way to kind of create some mock-ups with my team in a small way. And I actually had a script for a movie already. I had the script, and since I couldn't do anything with it, but I really fell in love with the characters, and I actually kind of like low key cast Jackie Cruz from Orange Is the New Black, Flocka from Orange Is the New Black, and I was searching her for the lead role, and so then. Once we were stuck in the strike, we were just talking like, what are we going to do? Like, can we do anything? And I said, look, I can maybe whip up some of these mock-ups with these illustrators. And I have a story that would be an origin story.
Okay.
So that the movie, and sorry, this is like all over the place. So you maybe rewind this. This is how I work. It's confusing.
It's okay.
So like, but I had a script. It was sitting there dying. I took those characters and I said, what if we just like went back 20 years and see how they got to this space? And I was like, because I can't afford that movie. I can't afford to make it. And so I was like, but I can tell that movie in graphic novel. And I was like, that's pretty interesting. And I love an origin story. I'm a sucker for like a really good origin story, right? And like, so those things were kind of all cooking. Blue Beetle and Spider-Man and all these like, Ghost Rider. We've gotten a couple of really amazing Latino superheroes lately. So that's kind of been in the ether. And I was like, why don't we have like original ones? You know what I mean? Like you don't really have name one. Just name one Latin superhero that isn't in like Marvel. Do you know one?
Would you consider El Mariachi a superhero?
Oh, the original El Mariachi? Like, I'll take him, but just that he's not in a graphic novel first.
You're right. Yeah.
But yes, I'll accept him, and I think arguably a couple of the wrestlers, maybe, right? Be like some of the wrestlers from the lucha. Yeah, sure. So maybe some of that. That's about all we got. Like we don't have our own.
Exactly.
So I was like, this and it sounds insane to me that we don't. Like, I don't understand how did we get this far. I do very much understand how, but that's
a whole other story.
That's God Saves America. That's a whole other story. But we know how we got here, but how do we get off this track, right?
Right.
And there's some other people that I know and respect who are disrupting in that space that I admire, and I think John Leguizamo actually had a go at it too.
He did, yeah.
Right. So it's kind of been kicked around. The ball's been kicked around, but it's pretty much a Wild West. It's nothing yet. So
that's true.
So I said these characters are really cool. They are not your typical superhero. And they're really outlaws. They're vigilantes. They're kind of like Robin Hoods. And they're like a power couple. It's like, the Latinos, we love to love. Like we're lovers. We're lovers, right? So I was like, well, that's something like, I was like, well, that'd be cool if we could do like, I love Natural Born Killers. I love True Romance. Gotcha. Bonnie and Clyde, Badlands. I love that American anti-hero. And part of what we do in Schoolhouse is I want to make sure that we are not only celebrating Latinos being Latino, but that we are celebrated for being Americans. Like, like we're so far behind the 8 ball on some of this stuff that I want audiences, whatever color they are, to be like, that's an American movie. Mm-hmm. That's an American hero. And I don't see the color of that. Because the universal gravitas of that character is so compelling that they are not worrying about, politically.
I hear you.
They're just knee deep in it with us. Mm-hmm. So that was like my challenge. I was like, can I give us an American hero that happens to be brown? And you know what I mean? Like, and so that was the kickoff for these characters. And Rez and Brazil, who you got right there, they're down to business. They are business people. They are in the business of killing. They're in the business of making sure they don't get messed with and their people don't get messed with. They take money from the big bads of the world, mm-hmm. and they take that money and they revolutionize countries with that money, and they go and give back to these third world countries who are in the middle of different wars, and they make little invisible moves out there like that. And so you never see them. They're like ghosts. You can never catch them. They're called the Aguila Blancas. So they are the white eagles because they're ghosts, because by the time you see them, they're gone. But you'll see their graffiti in different countries. You'll see like a graffiti of the white eagles. So you go, oh, I know this country. They were here,
Gotcha.
So that's kind of the ethos of these two people. And
that's really cool. That's cool that you took the script for the movie you had and you said, mm-hmm. I'm not going to turn the script into the graphic novel. I'm going to take their origin story and make that the graphic novel, which I think is really cool because it's original IP. So it's going to be something brand new that you're just creating or have created. Now you're just working to get it funded. And it's just really, really fascinating. It's a new story. I mean, it like you said, the Robin Hood of what they do. And it's really cool to see that. And so I'm fascinated. Yeah, I've already, like I told you before, I've already sent as many people as I can to your crowdfunding site. I'm really excited to be a part of it and to get it going, because we need more stories like this. Absolutely.
Yeah, we just need them. I don't care who's doing them. Let's just all do them. I mean, we just need. I'm not trying to be the only guy on this stuff, and I just want to stir the pot and hopefully inspire other people to do it. And this was one way. I mean, again, it's like I'm just trying. I think hopefully, whether it's this podcast or I want to share the playbook. I want to tell people it's like it's new, but it's not that deep. Like you can do it. Like you can create original characters. You can go. I mean, you can go and make a toy. You can go and meet. There's like indie guys who they make indie toys. So you can. Yeah. Like get a couple things. Like you can start, a little bit of a little bit of a, with different players. You don't need to wait for Spider-Man to call.
Exactly. So one thing that's always been on my mind and that I find fascinating when it comes to like graphic novels and films is when they link up and like, so let's say you have the script for the film that you wanted to create and you created a graphic novel. Do you have any plans in the foreseeable future to take that script that you have now, especially if you see success with the graphic novel, to make it happen? Do you see that coming down the line?
Yeah, there is some of that happening. Yeah. One thing I'll say is last night we reached our first minimum goal for the comic book. So, we're here, and I want to just thank you and everybody who's been like seeing what I see, and people are just like, I see it, and here's a couple bucks for you. During this time, we're all on a strike, so it's tough. So it's not past me how amazing that is. And to answer the other part of that question, yes, there's definitely a movie in the works
Okay,
for
cool.
that, and some actors are in mind. And I am speaking to the cinematographer. I'm
Nice.
definitely like, kicking the ball around, and people are reading the script. So yeah, this should be interesting. I don't
Yeah.
know the timeline, because this is like straight up new to me. So
Hmm.
we're gonna drop the comic book. I think hopefully like by Christmas. I'm hoping, and then once strike stuff kind of settles down, we will see if we can't introduce these people on the big screen, and that will be
That's cool.
really fun to really get to see. We really get to like kind of learn about these two characters once the comic book and the movie come out.
Yeah, that's really cool. I especially like I know there has to be, different ideas from the comic books to films because they're different writers and different viewpoints on how the character can be done. But I really like the continuation from a graphic novel or comic book to the film. So kind of like I think James Gunn said that he's going to try and do this with DC Studios is make them back and forth so you can go from the movie to the new comic book and it'll be kind of like seamless so you know where you're not lost or confused of why this is completely different on one side than it is on the other. So I hoping that's where you're
Yeah.
heading with that because that's really cool.
Well, I think that's the beauty of the whole, like, that's what I'm trying to even wrap my head around is like the beauty of original IP is you own the universe. It's not like you're borrowing the universe. You didn't buy the universe. Like we are, you know what I mean? Like we are the universe. So I am gonna like purposely put Easter eggs in these graphic novels here, telling you everybody now. There's gonna be Easter eggs in this novel that when you watch the movie, you're gonna go, oh, like this guy, that part of this thing, and like it's gonna be so we'll plant our own Easter eggs, and
that's cool.
And
that's
yeah,
excellent.
when you after the movie, you hopefully will read another volume, and again you'll build on that, and we'll see where they go. And so yeah, hopefully they feed off each other,
Yeah, that's really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. I will be sure to link all of the pertinent links in the description so people can go click and support this very necessary work, I want to say, because it really is. I mean, I think we need it. And I'm trying to get as much as I can. I grew up in a household that didn't really celebrate either my Mexican heritage or my Jewish heritage. So I'm really trying to devour as much as I can now, especially since I started this podcast and talking to creative people like yourself. It's really something that I just want to devour as much as I can. So when I see stuff like this, I'm like, ooh, I got to read more. I got to read more. So it's really cool. So thank you for doing this.
Nah, man, thank you for listening. And thank you for and thank you for being interested because like we need people to all to really just share and we need to hear like, hey, yeah, like you inspired me, and then I was inspired by somebody else, and we show something like this, and hopefully somebody else gets inspired to try to do their version of it, because there's room, like despite what it feels like, there's literally room for all of us.
That's exactly it. Yep.
We don't all have to squeeze in a Narcos movie. We don't all have to do a Family Quinceañera movie. Like, and so many other things we can do from our imagination. So, I hope that resonates.
Really cool. Well, we are a pop culture podcast at the root of what we do. So I like to ask all of our guests, what are you currently listening to, watching, reading that's really just sticking at you that you can't put down right now?
Let's see. I mean, I'm kind of like into nerdy stuff. I always have one foot in old movies.
Okay.
So I will start with that. Criterion Channel, which is like, I don't know if you have Criterion, but that's like the thing I live for every week. Like I try to watch like 2 old foreign movies a week.
Cool.
Right now, because it's Halloween and I have a horror podcast, so called Just for Thrills, and so we are soaking up a lot of horror right now.
Nice.
I'm literally watching there's like a like high school horror, and there's a whole list of high school horror movies on Criterion from
Oh, cool. Okay.
like Slumber Party Massacre to The Craft
Like
to
sleepover camp and
Sleepover Camp.
yeah.
Yeah, like so I'm actually like rewatching all those and like a couple old Jamie Lee movies. So
Cool.
I'm watching those right now. I'm watching Only Murders in the Building.
Okay.
I am watching. I've been watching religiously. Pop culture. I mean, I've been actually watching. It's gonna ruin all credibility now, but I started watching Beverly Hills Housewives of New York. Since this is pop culture, I'm gonna give you pop culture stuff. So I mean,
well, yeah.
I'm a snob. I'm gonna watch old movies, like obviously, right? But nobody's gonna watch those. So I'm also, I'm watching the new Ladies of Beverly Hills House in New York. I'm having it's a lot of fun. Actually, it's very cool. Cabinet of Curiosities, which is Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah,
that is fire. That's like that's prime anthology. Great filmmakers. That is really good horror for television. Yeah. And because of the strike, it's been tough. There's not like a lot of new stuff, which is good. Which is good. So those are the things I'm watching.
Cool.
On the music side, I've been getting down with my Colombian. I'm part Colombian. I just came back from Colombia, so I've been getting down with like all my, my Bad Bunny, Maluma, Karol G. Doja Cat also is like just giving like aesthetics and music. She's it for me. She's like giving creepy, hard demon, thoughty stuff with a dark sense of humor. That's all my vibe. So that's kind of the vibe. I like Rosalia, obsessed with her and her fashion. So that's kind of like some of the
takes
stuff.
Up a lot of your time right there.
That's a lot of my time right there. Yeah. And, and obviously graphic novels. I've been reading lots of different, graphic novels. I am right now, what I have is this one called,
I Hate This Place. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just bought that. Have you read this yet?
Not that one particular. I've seen it though, so I know kind of what it's about, but I haven't read that one yet. Yeah, so that one, the guys at the comic store told me to get that one, and the other one, I don't know. Oh, I think it's Kill or Be Killed by Ed Brubaker. Okay.
Those guys, I've read a couple of things from that team, Ed Brubaker. Those guys, they do a mean crime. Like they get nasty with those graphic novels. They're really good. Yeah. Award-winning Eisner stuff. And
I just picked up like the Penguin.
Ooh.
The new Tom King run of Penguin. It's really cool.
It's really yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So that
looks like the Colin Farrell Penguin, but a little more
in a way, yeah.
But a little more monstery.
It's a little, I think so it's less shiny. But yeah, it's really cool. I'm enjoying this, so really cool. That's some
cool.
Good
I'm
stuff.
interested to see what they do with the Penguin TV show.
Yes, I am too. I'm looking forward to that. And it's funny because before like the Batman came out or, like Peacemaker series, I wasn't really a big DC fan. So I'm more Marvel side. But now I've just really been reading a lot of DC. So maybe they swayed me.
You know what? Same thing. Peacemaker, I could have gave two shits about Peacemaker, but then I love that show, and I was like, it's perfect for John Cena. It's just a great, and him and James Gunn have a really good thing going on.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, Jason, thank you so much for chatting with me today. I really appreciate it. I will be sure to, like I said, add in all your links. Oh, if people want to find you on social media, where can they find you at?
I'm everywhere. Insta Avalos on Instagram. So Insta, and then my last name is Balos. That's my main page. The Schoolhouse Pictures. If you want to come along for the ride on the film side, and we also put jobs over there.
Oh, cool.
casting auditions for people's projects, mixers. We help throw events, and with Somos Life, of course. And those are probably the best two. And TikTok, I think I'm Jason Avalos Films on TikTok.
Right on. Well, I will include as many links as I can for you. Yeah. And we will be talking with you again soon, hopefully.
Thank you. And everybody go and throw $5 in that campaign so we can make a great graphic novel.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jason. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, man.